right. So it's Friday night. Figured I'd do a quick live stream, see what everybody up to. I expect everybody probably gonna be out and about on a Friday night, not sitting here doing work as I do. It's all good though. We'll wait, see if anybody jumps in. Tim, what's going on, man? What is going on a late Friday? Well, it's not even late Friday. You out there in Hawaii, right? Yeah, it's what 5 hours? 5 hours difference, I think, between West Coast. So if it's 7 here, I mean it's just it's about to be 8, so it's only about to be 3 o'clock out there. That's what's up. Let me turn this. I got my headphones right next to the thing. Y'all can probably jamming out to some music I was listening to. And I just want to take a quick break, man. You know me. I'm always working here in my little box, man. Uh, I'm working on a big project. Probably gonna have to pull like an all nighter tonight to get my part of it done at least. So I want to take a break. I've been going at it hard all day. Yeah, man. Need to just take a quick one. It ain't gonna be long because I want to get it done. So I ain't gotta be up all night. But hey, you never know, man. So what's going on? You never. What do you do out there in Hawaii besides chilling on a Friday afternoon for you, man? What's going on? Somebody else popped in here. Say what's up. Ah, there we go. My wife wants to move there. She is Japanese. Wants to move to where Tim's at in Hawaii, or wants to move out here to Vegas where I stay at. Either one of them I'd take. You know. Oh, he works for the state to pay 100K in student loans and digital marketing. Oh, I feel that. Okay, that's what's up. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Hawaii, yeah. Hey, don't we all want to move to Hawaii, man? Telling you, I love it. I had some of the best times of my life out there in Hawaii when I was out there. Coding jobs out in Hawaii. I mean, there's programming jobs everywhere. So, and if you want to be like me and work remote, you can go anywhere, man. It don't matter what state you in. I told you I got a buddy, Ed. Uh, he travels all over the world, man. He's probably in Paris or Russia or Romania or somewhere right now. Uh, and he's a remote programmer. So as long as you got an internet connection, you can live wherever you want to live. I love that flexibility because I can take uh, I can take the income that I'm making here, and if you go somewhere with a low cost of living, man, you can live like a king. You know, I know a lot of military friends of mine that'll get out of the military and they go and live in places like the Philippines or some other places like that where the cost of living is really low. Even Colombia, places like that. Beautiful country, beautiful people, but the cost of living, you live like a king. And they're called expats, expatriates that live outside the country, but they make their dollars in U.S. I've been had this old cough, so one of the downsides of working remote is you don't get out the house a lot, interacting with people, and don't get a lot of germs. So when my little girl goes to school, comes home from all the germs from them kids, oh man, I be catching these little head colds left and right now just because I'm not exposed to it from being in a workplace and around people. So I be getting sick like stupid. If you don't have a fan, pimping the state. Don't make me laugh, Tim. Pimping the state, huh? Ain't no wrong with pimping the state. If you don't have a fam, would you travel the world? I'd be out of here in a heartbeat. Tell you, let me get close. I would be out of here in a heartbeat, brother. You have no clue. I'd be just like my buddy Ed, man. I'd be traveling the world. This week, I'd be in Colombia. Next week, I'd be in Peru. Next week, I'd be in Brazil. Next, when you got no ties, you can travel and not even have not even have a quote unquote home. You can just travel the world, man. If you're smart with your money and you know how to choose the right places, you can travel the world, staying in, Airbnbs or whatever it is, short term rentals that you can get for like a month or whatever, and just live it up. Take your time, get to know the local places or whatever, and you might find somewhere you love and settle down there. But I'd be gone. I have no ties for staying in the States. Once I went overseas in the military, lived in Japan for 4 years and traveled all over the Pacific from there and even went to the Middle East a little bit. Man, I fell in love with culture and different countries and different people's culture and seeing the way that how different people live. So I'd be gone. What apps did you build to show to a potential employer? Oh man. Well, way back in the day, when I was getting my first gig, I had wrote a application. I was a concierge down at one of the hotels under the MGM. If you watch some of my old videos, you'll see that. As a concierge, we used to have this binder, this book that had when somebody would come up and ask about show tickets or tours or things like that. There were only certain tour companies and shows that we could recommend because they had to be vetted by MGM because we as MGM employees couldn't be sending them to janky tours or something where they were getting scammed out of anything because that would fall back on us because we are the ones that told them to go. So we had to have this binder of all of our approved tour companies and stuff. We could tell them about other companies, but let them know they're not one of our approved vendors, so you had to take it at your own risk. So there was a guy that wrote, he learned VBA, which stands for Visual Basic for Applications or something like that. It allows you to code. It's like a high level coding in the Microsoft application world. So you can learn how to write applications that will tie a PowerPoint presentation into an Excel spreadsheet, feed data into the Excel spreadsheet, and have it change your application, change your PowerPoint application, all this stuff. It's the language behind that. So he had created in VBA a kind of slideshow thing that had all the information that we needed for approved vendors. So I saw it as an opportunity. I said, let me recreate this as a web application. And I did that. I rewrote it as a web application, bought a domain name for it and everything. And once I built it, I let the team see it and say, hey, if you go to this website, here's all of the information that we use as concierge. You can just click these I had big tiles in there. This was before Bootstrap and all that stuff was popular. And you click those tiles and it would display all these information. I had uploaded the PDFs into the site and everything. So that was the first kind of site that I built that a lot of other people were using. And I used that. I kind of fell into a thing now where I don't, all of the work that I do now is all for like private or internal applications. So I don't get to show it off. There's no website that you can go to and that the everyday person can go to and I can say there I built that. There used to be when I worked for the startup. If you know that story from one of my old videos, I worked for a startup that went bust. It was for a daily fantasy sports site called DraftOps.com. DraftOps was like FanDuel or DraftKings, if you heard of those, where you draft a fantasy sports team and you enter contests with your team, and the highest rank, the person whose team gets the most points gets a payout. You pay to enter the contest, and the top 10% or whatever will get paid out. So we built one of those websites, or I came onto the team. of one of those websites. Small team, three-person team. I was the third person to join as a developer, and that was a site that I could point to be like, hey, this is a site that I helped build. You know, this particular feature, this page or whatever, that was all me. But of course, when they went under, that page went under too. You know, the website or domain is no longer there. If you go to draftops.com, I don't think anything even comes up anymore. I think the domain is expired or something like that. Everything else, all the work I did for Allegiant was for their internal agents, to sell hotels and tickets and tours and stuff. All the work I did for the company out in Denver was an internal. They have a proprietary application that we were building to sell to clients. So you can't get to that unless you buy the software. So I can't show you what I did there. And then all the work I do for the company out of DC for the government is all, it's U.S. government stuff. So you can't see that stuff unless you work for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. And all the stuff I did for the startup here is unreleased stuff. So there's nothing anywhere that's out there that I've done on a huge scale for companies that I could point to. Could you create something like that for people to pay something like a property management company for apartments? Yeah, I've actually thought about that, and I've reached out to a couple people actually to people that did multifamily to see if there was any need or software need that they might have. So if because you use a piece of software and it's usually missing some feature or lacking something. So I've reached out to a couple people to see if there was anything that maybe I could build for them before I got these two jobs. And now I'm too busy to be doing any type of side projects like that, unfortunately. But I would definitely do something like that. But I would recommend, how you say this, Gerani? I would recommend just picking, if you have a personal like passion project, I would recommend just code it up or something like that. Something that you can do, and pick a small project that you can do in like a weekend or maybe 2 weekends or something like that. That's complex enough to showcase all of your coding abilities, but small enough that you can get it done quickly, and something that you can point to. Because I tell you what, having written some sites, I was able to reference those things or problems or issues I had when I was going through interviews, and that helped me out a lot. So let me close my door. My lady just came home. She's gonna be dealing with the kids. So all the great ideas are already taken? No, there's no way all the great ideas are already taken. There are a billion startup companies that's starting up today, trying to solve problems for people. I didn't know about internal apps until recently. Yeah, most companies that you can think of all have their own stuff going. Any big company, they've all got internal applications that only they and their employees use. You can think about anything from like AT&T to just everyday stuff that you would use. AT&T, hi. You don't want to be on camera, babe? No. Okay. Oh, thank you. She loves me. My lady loves me. AT&T, Apple, any place you interact with is going to have their own internal applications that only their employees have access to use. But somebody has to write those applications. So that's a whole nother segment of the market. A lot of people think I'm going to build a website or whatever. You can build internal applications for businesses and make a ton of money doing that. Whether you just build it and sell it to them or license it to them, or you can stay on and have a contract to keep it updated or add new features to it, or long-term contracts. There's a ton of money to be made in that side of the business. Business to business instead of business to consumer. You're selling to other businesses instead of selling straight to consumer. So yeah, let's see. Could you sell it to companies? Yes. GitHub, question mark. What about GitHub? GitHub is a monster in and of itself. Hold on. All right. Just want to shut my door. Hey, Andrew. Gabriel, how you doing, man? Tim said, hey, lady, I know. She's shy. She don't want to get on camera. She don't never feel like she look camera ready. Do you have any advice for technical interviews and how to get ready for them? Um, there's a lot of information out there now, Andrew, to be able to help you with technical interviews. If you just Google coding interview, not even Google. Well, yeah, you can Google, but you can YouTube coding interviews, and you can actually find uh, people talking about the technical interview process, and that's a really good way to get ready for them. If you Google coding interviews, and I've done that before, you'll get a lot of Google not just coding interviews, but coding interviews for the particular thing that you want to do. If you are a front end developer, Google that. If you're a back end developer, Google that. If you're an Android developer, Google that. If you're an iOS developer, Google that. If you are a C++ systems developer, Google that. Or if you're not even a developer, if you do other types of IT, if you're a cybersecurity person, Google that, and you'll find tons of examples for questions and stuff on how to uh, get past a technical interview. Currently getting ready for interviews for a summer internship. Yeah, man. It probably, depending on the company you go to, won't be as grueling as a I'm going to interview for an actual developer job. Internships, they typically know that you haven't been doing it for a long time, so um, I ain't gonna say they take it easy on you, but I wouldn't be as shaking in my boots as if I was going to interview at Google or something like that. Get so nervous when I get faced with questions that involve a lot of math or making a specific algorithm. Hey, I do too, man. I bought a oh, man. See, I haven't set up my office since I moved in here. We've been in this new house now for about not quite 2 months, but I had all my books and stuff. If you look at my old interviews that was in my old house, I bought a book called Cracking the Coding Interview or something like that by Gail. This lady's name Gail McDowell or something like that. But it's a book that's all about data structures and algorithms. And basically, she was the main interview person. Yeah, she was the main interview person for places like Facebook and Google and Amazon, etc. And they're all known to have a very similar technical interview process where they bring you in. It's going to be over many hours, and you're going to have to whiteboard out algorithms and stuff like that. But this book gets you ready for that, and they start talking about like big old notation and all this stuff that if you're self-taught, you probably never learned. So it's a good book to read if you want to go for those types of places. I'll tell you this now. I had the opportunity to interview for Google. I had a Google recruiter recruiting me, actively recruiting me, called me several times. But I chickened out. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna make any qualms about it. I knew what the interview would entail, and I knew that I hadn't studied data structures and algorithms, and I didn't have a computer science degree where they teach you those things in school and you get plenty of practice on it. So I had to make a decision on, well, besides that, to work at Google for me would have meant leaving Las Vegas and moving out to um, San Francisco, and that was something I did not want to do, or still do not want to do, um, simply because I have a family, and my lady's family's here, and the cost of living out there is ridiculous if you're going out there with the full family, which means I can't get a little one-bedroom apartment. I got to get a house, and that's like stupid expensive. Plus, I went over this before. Another thing, California has state taxes, Nevada does not, so I would lose a huge chunk of money by moving out there anyway. I gotta calculate all that stuff. But yeah, all right. Somebody said so. Is Hilarious Martin Black Knight is that where you got your screen name? That is not where I got my screen name. How you say this? Olamide. I do know Black Knight. I watched that movie actually by Martin Lawrence. Um, and yeah, it is pretty crazy, but that's not where I got my screen name. Um, yeah, that's crazy. Good luck, Andrew. Heard about that. Thanks. Any? Hey, I appreciate it, Tim. Said I'm the truth. Always add value. Hey, good luck on that Google interview, Andrew. In a couple days, huh? Do you feel confident about your algorithms and data structures and stuff? Currently studying algorithms, data structures in school during the summer, and it went well. Hey, that's good, man. Like you already have a leg up on me because I didn't go to school and learn those things, data structures and algorithms. I can. On Khan Academy, they actually have a computer science track, and if I was serious about going to Google, I would have taken that and really buckled down and studied um, to get that. Because if if I was going to be doing programming um, for other people, like having a job long term, having something like Google or Facebook or Amazon or Apple on your resume, man, that opens tons of doors. Pretty much, once you go there to a place like Google, um, especially if you're there for any amount of time, you can pretty much go anywhere else from there. Any other place, because those are kind of those big tech companies like that are kind of at the pinnacle for a developer. So once you go there, anywhere else that's below that, you get a lot of credit from just having that on your resume. Like, hey, if you were good enough for Google, you're definitely good enough for our place. So, what's up, Faded? In Japan, I met a young Filipino guy who got an Android job without any experience. It kind of surprised me uh, that they do that type of thing in Japan, but I hear they do that with a lot of young people. Yeah, I mean, there's still people. It's crazy, man. It blows my mind still that this is a an industry and career that pays as well as it pays. That you can just have a high school diploma. You can not even have a high school diploma, but if you're able to teach yourself how to code, you can get a job. All people care about right now is that you have the skills to do the work. You'll see a lot of you'll see a lot of job descriptions that say, computer science degree and X amount of years of experience. But if you can get an interview, um, or if you have a GitHub, somebody asked about GitHub earlier. If you have a GitHub that has some real good quality projects on it, or um, some GitHub history that shows that you're contributing to a big successful open source project or something like that, that you are people can see your code and see, okay, this guy knows what he's doing, or this kid knows what he's doing, even if he's only, you know 15 years old or whatever. I've met some brilliant programmers that were only 15 years old, so don't get that twisted. So you can definitely get a job and get paid a lot, even if you have very little experience. So I'm not interviewing yet. Applying in a few days. That's what I'm doing now. It's difficult once you get into big O and all those things, but I'm sticking through it. Yeah, man. I know what you mean. I started reading that book and then started getting the big O notation. I'm like, okay, I got to put my big boy pants on for this. What are you studying? What am I studying right now? Um, right now, I'm in the middle of working through some problems. Um, I'm taking a application. I wish I could kind of show you what I'm doing, but I don't want the wrong people to see it and be like, "Hey, you showing out proprietary stuff." So, um, but I'm reskinning that application right now, and how do I explain with an Angular application? So there was a lot of if you look at the application and components as layers, so there's high level, high layer stuff. There was a lot of functionality that was being handled at a higher level that needs to move down to a lower level. So a lot of the code is not reachable by where it needs to be reached now. So I'm wiring in, moving a lot of that functionality from this component down to a child component of this component, and making sure they communicate back and forth to each other. So, and I have to do it quick because the owner of the startup is in China right now, so he's a day ahead, I believe, and he's doing a um, presentation to sell this product on first thing Monday morning China time. Um, so we need to get this pushed out like tonight, and then have tomorrow to get the bugs out, and then it's going live for him. Uh, that's the startup life. Like he's what I'm writing tonight is going to be live in less than 48 hours in a potential customer's hands, and the founder of the company is trying to convince them that they need to pay the company a lot of money to use this software that I'm literally throwing together right now. So, uh, boom, boom, boom. So I'm not actively studying anything. I'm actively working on some stuff right now. What language is Amazon written in? I have no clue what language Amazon. I mean that's a loaded question, Fadek, because Amazon is so huge. They have so much stuff going on. Like what Amazon Prime Video is written in is going to be different than what Amazon.com website is written in. Is going to be different from what AWS Web Services is written in. So uh, can't really answer that question. What do you? Daddy. Yes. Telling someone mean? Yes, baby. Go. Daddy's doing a video. My little girl. All right. Education does not equal skill. That is correct. I've met some educated developers that could not write code to save their lives, and I've met some guys off the streets that could code circles around you. He says he's learning on the job. His boss told him to just study on the job. Yeah, that kind of happened to me at Allegiant. I told that story where my boss hired me, even though I wasn't a JavaScript guy at the time, and they gave me a laptop and a desk, and he gave me an account to codeschool.com and told me to take all their JavaScript courses and all their Angular courses. It took me 3 weeks. I got paid. I went in every day for 8 hours, sat at my desk and watched videos and did coding tutorials at work for 3 weeks. So that's kind of how I got started in the JavaScript world, because I was not a good JavaScript developer before then. What is Snapchat and Facebook written in like languages? Well, Snapchat is on the phone, so they're going to have an iOS and an Android. So iOS used to be all written in C, not, I was about to say C sharp, Objective C was what iOS was written in. And then Apple created their own web language called, oh, I was about to say code, that's Google. What's it called? Swift. They created Swift. So iOS applications now are written in a mixture of Objective-C and Swift. And then Android applications used to be written in Java, kind of the same thing. This other language came along that's very Java-esque, but it improves on some of the syntax of Java, I would say. It's less verbose, called Kotlin. So Kotlin is now an officially supported language for um, Android Studio. So you can learn Kotlin, you can learn Swift, and you'll be able to write in either Android or iOS. Now they'll have backend components as well that's written in a totally different like backend language. So you can write it, your front end UI is written in Objective C or Swift or Kotlin or Java, and then your backend might be written in Java or Python or Ruby or whatever that you could communicate with. So that's what Snapchat, Facebook, the applications on the phone are going to be the same. The website, the website was actually originally written in PHP, which is language that so many people crap on as a kiddie scripting language. But I tell you what, Zuckerberg wrote the first version, at least, of Facebook in PHP. They now have a enhanced version of it that they curate called what is it, hip hop, something like that, hip hop. And then they also curate the React front end framework. So if you've ever heard of React, like Angular or Ember, and there's React as well, which is a view library, a very popular view library. If you learn React, if you just learn React, you can get a lot of work doing that. That's a Facebook kind of product. They curate that. Whereas Angular is kind of supported by Google, React is supported by Facebook. Do I play poker out there in my downtown? Vegas isn't known for tech, or is that changing? That is changing, actually. Um, I used to play poker a lot, actually. I had a, I had a, or it's still out there. There was a poker channel, blog channel, of me from, I don't know, probably back in 2010 or something like that, where I was chronicling my poker life because I played professionally for about a year while I was going to school. Uh, I didn't have a job, and the income that I was bringing in was a mixture of student loan refunds and playing poker, and that's how I supported my family for an entire year. Um, it was cool. It was fun. Nice roller coaster. The professional poker life on the bottom, on the lower end of the scale, isn't what you would think it would be. You know, by watching high stakes poker and stuff where these guys are playing for hundreds of thousands of dollars. The everyday grinder is just that. It's a grind. If you want to play poker, a lot of people come out here to Vegas and they want to be poker pros or blackjack pros or whatever, but they quickly find out that it's not all it's cracked up to be. Off the streets to win it. Sure enough. I've been reading Ruby. The Ruby is fading out. Is that true? I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say Ruby is fading out. There's still, if you are a Ruby, especially if you're a Rails developer, Rails has been hot for a long time and still is. For you find more Rails stuff for startup companies. So if you want to work for smaller startup companies that are iterating very quickly, Rails is a good language for that. When I uh, worked with Pivotal Labs, when we did an engagement with them, they do the majority of their work because they usually come in and help startups. Help if you have an idea and you have a lot of money, um, but you don't want to go out and hire a bunch of programmers. You can hire Pivotal Labs, and they will bring their all their programmers and build your product for you. Now it's going to cost you a ton of money because these guys all get paid well over $100+ an hour for each developer that you have. Uh, so you can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars very quickly in just a couple months. But they do most of their work in Ruby on Rails. They look for Rails developers and Java developers. So refund checks, yeah, man, missed them days. Yeah, yeah, those were those were the days. But I tell you what, now I got student loans, student loans that I'm knocking out. Hey, we both do. You said you was out there paying off student loans, so we lived it up off them checks for a while, but now we're paying them back. So I've been looking for programming meetups in my area. Yeah, you should be able to. Where you at, Faded? It'll be interesting to hear. So I know here in Vegas, it's as easy as just going to meetup.com and looking for programming, and there's plenty that come up. New Jersey. Oh, Jersey? There's got to be a ton of programming stuff out there, man. I'm always getting hit up by recruiters to come out to Jersey. Jersey got a big tech scene. There's a lot of financial stuff that's going on out there. I keep getting offers to come out and work for what's one of the big financial companies, hedge fund company, not Merrill Lynch, but Goldman Sachs. I keep getting hit up for Goldman Sachs jobs. And it's like, move to New York for Goldman Sachs. It's like, dude, I'm not moving to New York to work at no Goldman Sachs. Now they got paper, so I'm sure they pay out the yin yang. But at this point, if I was a single young man, then yeah, I'd go chase that money, chase them dollars. But for where I'm at in life right now, picking up and going to New York, because this that woman just walked in that door, ain't going to New York. So I would be going by myself, trying to do that thing like I did in Denver, living in hotels and going to work every day and trying to fly back and come see her and the kids. And I ain't doing that. Yeah, meetup.com. Just go to meetup.com. You'll find a ton of programming meetups. They'll tell you the dates, the times. You just show up. A lot of them will have food because they'll be in the evenings, like after work time. So they'll be like 6 o'clock. A lot of them are 6 or 6:30 start times, and they'll usually go for about 2 hours or something like that. So you'll be out of there by, 8:30. Then they'll go and usually go to a little bar somewhere close and shoot the shit, and you'll be out of there. Yeah, Jersey's booming, man. Credentials out there. That's what's up. It's been good just stopping by, show some love on your page and grow. Can't wait to next live. Yeah, man. I kind of like doing these live things because I get to the interaction back and forth, and I can answer some questions like live. And I don't feel like it takes as much setup. Like I literally just throw my phone down and start talking. Every now and then, the app gives me problems getting started, but I like answering questions live. So that's the big thing. I usually try to do them in the day because my kids are gone and stuff, and they're all here now. Like my daughter opened the door early, and the old lady came home and all that stuff. So I'm gonna jump off this thing here in about 2 minutes and get back to work. Just see if there were any more questions. Free Code Camp has meetups. That's cool. I don't know much about Free Code Camp. I've heard of Free Code Camp before, but I don't know a ton about them. I've seen plenty of meetups in my area. Yeah, there's a lot of meetups out there in Jersey. I'm sure. I just got to get myself out there. Yeah, you do. I didn't pull the trigger on going to a meetup for probably like a year because I was intimidated because I didn't feel like I knew anything. I felt like I was going to be out of place, and I was going to be walking in this place with a bunch of geeky guys that I had nothing in common with, and they were going to be talking about stuff that was like way over my head, and it was the exact opposite from that. They're usually really nice guys. Hold on, I don't want to blow my. All right, my nose is getting stuck. This fan up here is like killing me, man. But it was a little warm. Um, they're usually like really nice guys. They usually are geeky now. I give you that. There's gonna be some geeks in the room, uh, but they're usually really nice guys, and they're very welcoming to outsiders. And I just insert myself into other people's conversations, kind of stand there until they acknowledge me, and kind of force myself to get to know the guys. And if you start going over and over, you'll start to see the core group of people that go. And if you get in good with those core group of people, man, let me tell you this: when that startup went under, so, two or three of the people from meetups that were in the core group of people from meetups got me interviews. Not just told me somebody was hiring; they got me interviews at companies here. And that was all because I was consistent with going to the meetups, and they knew I wasn't a guy that was just kind of goofing around or playing around. Because you'll see a lot of people will go to the meetups, but then they won't go for another 6 months or something like that. They'll show up every 2 or 3 or 4 months, but that core group will show up every time. And if you show them that you're serious about, a career in programming, then they'll actually, kind of take you under their wings and look out for you. So, what what do you think the future of remote web developing and programming is? That's a hard one to say. It keeps swinging back and forth. It goes through waves where remote is in and remote's the hot thing, and then the pendulum will start swinging back where you'll start seeing articles like more companies are pulling their employees back from remote back to in the office. I know IBM did a big thing where they went through a wave where they wanted all their employees to like be remote, and then they start swinging it back and start revoking a lot of that remote work, and a lot of people had left the company because they had gotten used to working from home, and now they wanted them to come back into the office. And uh, I wish I wish a lot more companies did remote programming, but as it is right now, it's very competitive and hard to get remote work. Um, but what I found is that once you get your foot in the remote door, it's a lot easier to get the next job because People, especially if you stay at the places that you're at for a substantial length of time, it shows people or future employers that you can handle remote work, because it is definitely this is it. You see my work right here. I'm literally sitting at my desk, uh, working, and if I get stuck on a problem and I'm not resourceful enough to find the answer, I'm burning my employer's money, because he's paying me, and I'm sitting here, spinning my wheels. So you have to be very resourceful to be able to fix your own problems or find your own solutions to problems, uh, to be able to work remote. And I think that's the employer's biggest fear. It would be mine if I was paying somebody and they were working from home. It's that fear of not knowing what that person's doing. Am I sending them a check and they're spending all day, playing with their kids, or, basically not providing work for me, and am I wasting money? So you have to have a good system set up if you're the employer to be able to judge output from your employee. A lot of places don't have systems to judge output. They go by what's his butt in the seat at the job for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and that's what I pay him for. Not necessarily for the output that he's putting out, but was he here? Uh, Looking like he was doing something. Uh, but I really like the the place in DC I work for. Everything is pointed out by how many days it should take you to complete it. And so if you've got a 2-week sprint with 5 working days in it, you should complete 10 points per sprint. You know, 2 5 weeks, and your work is pointed out, so you should have 10 points every sprint. And that's kind of how they judge what you're doing. And then outside of that, they really don't care kind of what you do. If I wanted to code at 2 in the morning, I can code at 2 in the morning. As long as I get those 10 points done, then I'm good to go. And I like that. I like that system. I'm judged on the output that I put out, what I produce, and not how much time I spend producing it. So if I'm good and can get it done in 4 hours instead of 8, hey, we're good. What resources do you use when in a jam? Google is your friend. I Google a lot. Google will usually lead you to Stack Overflow answers for common stuff. If it's common everyday stuff that you bump into, um, chances are somebody else has run into it and they've gone to Stack Overflow and asked that question already. And there's tons of questions that's out there that's been asked and answered, and you can find, an answer to your problem. The problem is a lot of times you can find too many answers. You have to be able to decipher which answer fits your specific problem and, you know, is the best solution for you. So you start to pick those things up over time. I was really bad at it in the beginning when I first started out programming. I would get stuck on stuff for days, and I can't imagine being stuck on anything for days now because that would be unacceptable, for my employees. So thanks for your time. I really respect what you're doing. Hey, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, man. Uh, Look, I'm just here to answer people's questions and stuff. Try to help out as much as I can. Show people that there's other people out there that's not the stereotypical little geeky, nerdy, with glasses on, uh, you know, 19-year-old kid, pocket protector that's writing, programming computers. Uh, Anybody can do it. So that's the only reason I do these. Appreciate you spreading your knowledge. No problem, Faded. Just all I ask is that you do the same. As you progress, that you give back to somebody else too. You know, and try to inspire somebody. Let them know that it's doable. It's not like rocket science. We had a parent teacher meeting at my son's school today, and my wife said, she pointed to me talking to the teacher and said he taught himself how to write computer code, and to me, that stuff is all gibberish. And like to me, he's a genius. And I laugh at it, but for sure, I don't want other people to feel like you have to be a genius or be some super smart person or rocket scientist or something to be able to understand programming. It's it's not un it's not an unapproachable thing. It's really, when you get down to it, it's really some basic stuff that you can make super complex. But if you learn the basic stuff, you can get your way around. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm gonna jump off of here if there ain't no more questions. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And I think I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.